He got back in good.
Yes.
Yeah, I was driving, so I don't think it would let me talk, which is kind of cool safety wise.
Ah,
No worries.
I pulled over. And I thought it was pretty cool that the recorder is in the Westminster Dog Show as well.
There you go. See, Andrew?
I don't understand. Yeah, we can talk about it before the meeting starts.
I mean,
Hey, how you doing?
we can talk about things like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good promotion
on.
for Hoboken.
Does she have an agent? You need an agent?
No, I
need an agent.
I go and I shop.
Now Andrew's trying to become her agent. See, this is what I have to worry about.
This is why the case law is in place. This is
I'll get you
exactly
on
the
the-
reason.
Exactly.
I'll get you to the next level.
All right. Okay, so we are going to get started. Let's stand for the pledge.
I'm sitting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, if we could have the roll call, please. Executive Director.
Dan Pistato,
Here.
A. Lewitt,
Here.
D. Mello,
Here.
B. Reyes, M. Russo,
Here.
J. Sanford, E. Seitzman,
Here, I think James is on the other side.
He's on the participants but not panelist side.
Right.
All right, so let's keep taking attendance and let's see if can we get him in as we're doing the attendance and everything.
You working on that, Angel and Lourdes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so as we're trying to get, please let me know when James gets in and then
He is in right now.
I'm present. Wonderful. All right, so please let the record show that Commissioner Sanford is present. All right, I will read the announcement regarding the Open Public Meeting Act. All right, so announcement regarding notice. I would like to advise those present that notice of this regular meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of this regular monthly August board meeting has been scheduled for Thursday, August 12th, 2021, and was sent to the Jersey Journal and the Star Ledger on Tuesday, July 27th, 2021, as notification to the general public of said meeting and sent to the City Clerk of Hoboken on Tuesday, July 27th, 2021, with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the bulletin board in Hoboken City Hall, the Hoboken Public Library, and the Hoboken Police Department headquarters. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced that adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. In addition, I direct that the minutes of this meeting state the following. As a result of the restrictions established by Executive Order 107 issued by the Governor of New Jersey with respect to the need to limit public gatherings to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, the meeting will be conducted exclusively through the use of communications equipment. This procedure is in accordance with NJSA 10:4-9.3, which states that a public body shall not be deemed to have violated any provision of the Open Public Meetings Act in conducting a meeting by means of communication or other electronic equipment. In addition, this procedure complies with Article 3, Section 7 of the Authority Bylaws, which allows for participation in authority meetings by members of the Board of Commissioners by means of telephonic conference or similar communications equipment. All right, I think you, Harold, you or your son want to add the addendum to that we've traditionally added.
Well, that, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Yes.
In keeping with the Housing Authority's normal practice of affording members of the public the opportunity to comment at monthly board meetings, the authority will be accepting comment during this meeting in one of three ways. First, comments can be sent by email to hha@myhhanj.com from now until 7:30 p.m. All timely and legally appropriate comments received by email will be read aloud by an authority representative for all attendees of the meeting to hear. Second, beginning at approximately 7:30 p.m., the authority will allow access to participants one at a time to comment using their telephone or through Zoom's audio function. Third, if you are participating in the meeting using Zoom from a web browser or smart device, you can submit comment using the Zoom Q&A function, which can be accessed by clicking the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. We require that any member of the public who wishes to submit comment using the Q&A function, please limit themselves to a single submission rather than submitting multiple brief comments. In the event that a member of the public submits more than one comment, only the first legally appropriate comment will be read aloud at the meeting. Any comment submitted after 7:30 p.m. will be rejected and will not be read aloud at the meeting. In addition, please note that while Zoom video of this meeting is being streamed through Facebook Live, public comment will not be accepted through Facebook or Facebook Live. Any member of the public watching through Facebook Live who wishes to comment may do so by email, by telephone, or by using the Zoom Q&A function. Again, the email address is hha@myhhanj.com, and the telephone number is 646-558-8656, webinar ID 485-881-849. Finally, please be advised that the standard practice of the executive director and members of the board is to refrain from engaging in a back and forth discussion during the public comment portion of authority meetings. However, in light of the ongoing crisis, the authority realizes that limited exceptions to this practice may be necessary. On behalf of the authority, I thank you in advance for your patience and understanding. At this time, in order to allow more time for members of the public to comment in advance of 7:30, I recommend that the board consider adopting a resolution to reorder the agenda to allow the executive director to present his report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I make a motion to adopt the agenda to switch the order from the executive director's report will come prior to the public comment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, executive director, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman and Board. This month, the Security Committee and the Redevelopment and Rehabilitation Committee met. And during the course of this presentation, I think we'll have plenty of time to talk about both of those meetings. So if you would like, the chairs of those committees, we'll just jump on in when I get to that place in my report. So our report starts again with the reminder that our primary goal over the next year remains setting up that framework to place HHA on a firm facility and financial footing as we transform our old housing stock into facilities that'll serve our residents in all of Hoboken over the next 50 years. I think we are on our way. I know we are on our way, and I'm excited about that. We've made a lot of progress. Our enterprise community partners continue to work with us. We continue to have bi-weekly status calls with the enterprise community partners who are working with our staff on making sure we're ready for these changes. Enterprise community partners are also working and integrating with the planning folks that you've met recently. And so they're here in a real presence with us. Enterprise will be holding a staff maintenance training next week with our staff on Monday and Tuesday. We're going to be going over vacancy turnover issues, REAC issues, basic maintenance plan issues. And also they're planning on addressing the entire board in a conversation regarding our future development possibilities in sessions proposed for the end of August. Schedule of these meetings are in process. I've sent some emails around. And I've gotten responses from many of you. I am going to be sending an email out first thing in the morning that it looks like that week of the 30th of August isn't quite working for everybody. I think maybe it's just before Labor Day. And I'd like to send an email out seeing that if the week of the 23rd, moving it up a week, might be good for the board. And if that's a possibility. I certainly don't expect an answer now. I will be sending out an email, but if you want to send me something kind of in advance on what your availability is in the evenings on the week of the 23rd of August, that might work a little better for everyone. And the group that's going to be discussing with us from the enterprise partners is available virtually all week that week. And I mean virtually and virtually. So they'll be available all week and it will be a virtual meeting. So we need to tie that one down.
Director, if I could
Yes.
just interject, I do think the 30th worked for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
the director and I had a conversation that it seemed like the people I had spoken to, that beyond the 30th, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Um,
And I was having trouble getting two.
I was
days.
included in that. That week before school starts is a very rough week, but I told him that the 30th might work, but if we could have the first session sometime in the week of the 23rd to the 27th. So,
I
that
think we-
might not work for other people, but that's what we're kind of talking about. So.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chairman. And I think we've got at least one board member that the 30th isn't good for. So we're already running into a little bit on that, so
Okay.
we might circle back. I'll send something out tomorrow and see what we can do.
Mark,
Yes,
Mark,
yes.
we have a sunshine law notice issue and policy issue to discuss. Are you going to discuss the policy issue now?
You may, attorney, if you want to, counselor, if you want to jump on in.
Well, first of all, unless we find out by tomorrow, we're going to be hard pressed to have a meeting on the 23rd or 24th because we're going to run up against the deadline of putting the notice out to the paper.
Okay.
If we don't get it resolved until next week,
Harold, then
we're
let
gonna
me,
be-
Harold, I don't want us to take up too much bandwidth with this. The very end of the summer, I don't think is great. I know Commissioner Seitzman and I both work in education. It's a rough time. I'm sure even, I'm sure Commissioner Russo, things start up and get heavy in September because people have been in summer mode and then they're suddenly switching to fall mode. Can we maybe do this, start after Labor Day and not do them both in 1 week? Spread them out by a week or two? I just think to have two sessions in 1 week in the last 2 weeks of summer, there's just conflicts are going to abound for people.
Yeah, I can certainly circle back with them. I know the planning team was having some availability problems right after Labor Day, the couple weeks after Labor Day. And we did want to get together to make sure the whole board was fully informed.
Right.
I would ask the attorney, how much of a notice do you have to have, Harold, before the meeting?
48 hours plus time to get it to the newspaper, and our historic policy is to actually advertise it. So that further complicates it, as Emma will tell you.
But
Yeah.
can it wait till even the last 2 weeks of September where we do one session 1 week and one session the other week?
Entirely possible with that far in advance.
I just think the last week of September leading up to Labor Day is just, it's
You mean
fraught with conflict,
Well, if that's the feeling, I'll go back to them and seeing if the end of September works better.
Okay. Is everybody else okay with
And
that? I mean, does the end of September look like it'll be less conflicted?
No, but that's life.
All right, we'll figure it out. I just think that the dates that were first thrown out there, I just think they're just, in a very problematic time for a lot of people.
Those were tough. So how about if I take another poll tomorrow and I'll include that week of the 23rd and then we'll ask for dates those last 2 weeks of September. And we'll see if we can find something in there that everyone's available, plus the enterprise partners are available. And we'll try to make this all happen.
Works for me.
Everyone heard it into one area. All right, spend my life scheduling. Thank you for that, by the way. Very good. So that's great. I mean,
There is another issue, Mark, that we
Yes.
talked about yesterday, and that's the one of whether or not these sessions are going to be open to the public. It's a policy decision related to what the topics are for discussion. The ability to have it just for the commissioners and closed to others is a function of whether or not it fits into one of the exceptions.
Well, if I
And
can
you
make,
and
if
I
I could
talked
make,
yesterday about getting the input of the commissioners as to how they would want to proceed.
if I could make a suggestion with that, all right, I think the last session we did with Enterprise, I think a lot of the problems that maybe kind of bubbled up during it was that just lack of understanding what we were going into. So I think if Enterprise could give us a paragraph or two blurb, like that kind of overviews their goals of the session and what they expect to accomplish, I think then commissioners could, decide and think about whether they think it's something that should be open to the public or not. And that would be nice, but we're going into it blind. It's just like an enterprise session. It's like, well, what are we discussing? Let us know the goals. Let us know what's hoped to be accomplished out of it. And then I think we can decide that.
And we already have a pretty detailed agenda, but I can have them add to that with some more explanation. I think the basic
Oh,
idea of.
But ahead of time, so we can discuss, what Harold's saying, like whether it should be open to the public or not. I mean, certain things are just going to intuitively be better done in a closed session environment, and certain things are going to be, where we don't want to have closed session. We want the public to be fully aware of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think,
I
I
looked
think
at
that's
the
the right
agenda
question.
that was,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I said I looked at the agenda and I think a lot of it doesn't qualify for closed session. Some of it might, but even with the review of the entire agenda, it doesn't give me a flavor for what it's really all about. And I think we may run the risk, as the chair said, of having the same problem we had the last time as to what the goal of the person that was proposing the approach was in terms of why it would be closed.
Yeah, I mean, I err on the side of open. If there's not a good reason to make it closed, make it open. Why not?
Sure.
Well, that's the simple thing, and that also resolves the question if Mark is pushing to try to do something now. Because if we don't get resolved if we're going to be open or closed, there's going to have to be a certain amount of effort here to prepare the agenda, not what was distributed, a real public meeting agenda that would reflect why it could be closed.
Okay, and this and Director, this centers around the redevelopment efforts. Is that?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So if you need to, I think we should just push for September dates, because we're under a time clock with the week of the 23rd, you said. And if we have to have a quick meeting of the committee, the redevelopment committee, we could chime in and talk about the agenda, think through these things, and we don't have to do it during a public meeting, and we could then go from there.
Sure. That certainly gives us more time to plan for it, so I'm all for it. Great. Good.
Okay, great.
Good, and then over to our planning group. We did meet with the newly formed Rehabilitation and Renovation Committee last Friday, and I think had a very, very good and in-depth meeting talking about what direction the planning group was going. And it was kind of nice because it was just before the big meeting we had last night. And last night really did a lot of the repetition of what we talked about at the Rehabilitation and Renovation Committee. And last night, I think was a great success. I think for the first meeting that we've had of that type with all of our residents post-pandemic, coming out of the pandemic and making sure we were outside, making sure we were properly distanced and as safe as I think we could possibly be. The weatherman cooperated. I think my staff did a tremendous job in preparing and dotting the i's and crossing the t's on making sure people had water, making sure the EMS was there, making sure we had translation, making sure everyone was comfortable as possible given the heat. It was a great turnout. We had, I think, 200 and some residents there. And in addition to that, we had many of the community leaders, including yourselves there, that kind of took it in and saw what was happening. I think the residents appreciated the presentation. I think it was professionally done by our planners. And I think that for those of you that didn't stay till the very bitter end, we broke out into those strategy groups that lasted. They were planned for 50 minutes. And they lasted for much longer than that. And the outcome and information and input we got from residents, and that was just residents at those groups, was really profound. We are going to be transcribing all of that. That will get on our website next week, so everyone can look at those breakout sessions and see the ideas and input and concepts that our residents came up with, what their concerns were. So we can continue to address those as we go along. I just think it was a great meeting. It was a good start. Of course, it was a start. It was, again, the idea that as we start down this planning process, we want to get information from as many parts of society as we can, and most importantly, our resident population on what their concerns are, what questions they have, and what they would like to see. Importantly, last night was what they would like to see in a renovated or rehabilitated Hoboken Housing Authority. I give to everyone the attachment, the presentation that was given last night. And the presentation is also, by the way, if not already, will be shortly be up on our website as well. So everyone can take a look at that presentation. We will also have hard copies of that presentation here at the central office. For anyone that wants to pick up a hard copy, just stop on by. We're getting a nice big stack of them. Be ready easily by the morning. And because we want everyone to see it, as many as possible. The next official step, we got this input yesterday. We're going to get it up on our website. Everyone's going to be able to see the comments, the concerns folks have, the questions. Our next big step is in September. And we're planning right now on the 13th, Monday, to have an evening meeting. And then on the 14th to have an all-day charrette, where both of those days people will have an interactive part in starting to take a look at the design plans, starting to have input in the design plans, be able to pick up a pen, pencil, and start marking things up to show what you may want to see as our initial designs. We will take all the information we got from all of our stakeholder meetings. We will consolidate that. We will have, answers to the questions that people asked, so we can share those as a group. Now, that meeting is not just a resident meeting. That is certainly a resident meeting, but it's an all of Hoboken meeting. And we'd like to see anyone in Hoboken that's concerned, because this is a huge deal for Hoboken, right? And this isn't just us all alone. And we try to show that by already meeting with council, with the educators, by meeting with the nonprofit groups, with meeting folks around Hoboken. So we've already got their input, and we're getting more. As folks come up and say, hey, how about this? We make sure we're capturing that, and we'll have more of those. But the next big event is what we're calling the charrette, September 13th and 14th. So kind of pencil that in on your calendar, the evening of the 13th, and we'll be there all day on the 14th, getting people's opinions, taking a look at what our design plans, taking a look at what folks see as issues. So that's going to be a big day for us. It's going to be a big day for Hoboken, I do believe. So once we hold that charrette and we get more information on what people are seeing, what people think we should be doing, we will be back in October again for another large meeting to kind of pull everything together, show everyone what direction we're at. So we'll be back again in October with our whole team, and then we'll be back again in November with our whole team to show what our progressive steps are, make sure everyone has a chance for input. We are headed, and hopefully we'll have all these things put together to have a good plan together by the end of 2021. I think we're well on our way. And not only a plan that kind of shows the design and shows where we are in our thinking with everyone's input, but also a plan that's financially feasible. We are working real hard in the background that we don't want to come back to Hoboken, to our residents, with a plan that's just pie in the sky, that just looks good. We want to come with a plan that we can actually do. And once we've approved that plan, that we can be at the starting gate to start moving ahead virtually immediately, because by that time we'll already have run numbers. We know the programs that are available, the new programs out of HUD. We know what's possible and what's not possible. We're going to kind of know the levels of construction and or rehabilitation we can do by that time. And we'll be able to start moving. We're costing out things as we go along. We're comparing them over to the programs and the income that's available. So we'll be ready, and that's our goal by December. So that is the planning process. I'll hush now because it's big and folks might have comments.
Well, Director, if I could just tack on to what you said, well, first of all, I've been talking to Jerry Fallow and playing phone tag with her a little bit, and Commissioner Councilman Russo, maybe you could help out with that. I would love to get the Torrey Dallas people and their partners to have a station at the Arts and Music Fest in the fall. I think that would be helpful. So, trying to move forward with that, and I can't emphasize enough how much we might have different views on what we want or don't want, but the Torrey Dallas people are just so experienced. I met with Troy McGee down in DC when I was down there just personally a couple weeks ago, and we chatted for a couple hours, and they're about to open offices right outside of Howard University in DC. These guys are super experienced. They've done dozens of projects throughout the United States, a lot in the Northeast and Philadelphia and Washington. And they focused on public housing authorities and redeveloping them where they don't lose units, where they don't lose bedrooms, but they build great new housing that reinvigorates entire neighborhoods. I was telling Councilman Russo last night that in Washington, DC, where the Washington Nationals baseball team plays, which is an area of DC that has really rejuvenated over the past few decades, that got started with the Torrey Dallas project, where they redeveloped a public housing authority, and they didn't lose units. And they got that whole spark starting, where now there's an MLB baseball team, there's multiple hotels, and it's very vibrant, and all got started with the public housing authority redevelopment. So I think we're in very good hands, and I'm excited about it. I think the meeting last night went well, and I think it's going to keep going well.
I think Aaron's been.
You're on mute, Aaron.
Thanks. One of the things we have to start thinking about, and I'm not sure when we will make the decisions, Torrey Dallas is the planning organization. We still have to hire architects. We still have to reach out to developers, possibly, depending on our financing and how that's going to swing. We have to figure out how to get tax credits. We have to somehow come up with a schedule of how we relocate people during the construction and where. And I think these are decisions that we need to make, and not too far in the future, because we want to get this thing moving pretty quickly. So something for all of us to think about. It's not just a conversation item about what the residents want. As important as that is, it's what we think is possible. How many units? Are we going to be just the 804 low-income units on the campus? Or are we going to jack it up to different kinds of income units? Yesterday, there was, in the groups that I walked by, there was no talk of, are we going to have a school built? Are we going to have retail made? These are really critical issues to move this thing forward. That's all.
Thank you, Aaron. I think those are perfect comments, and it's one of the reasons that we do need to take seriously when we want to get together and do this type of session with the enterprise partners that we're contemplating. Because first we need to really know what we're doing, the lay of the land. All of us be as educated as possible and get prepared to make some of these decisions as the plan gets finalized over the next months, because we want to be in that position to move forward, because these are important decisions. And yeah.
The other thing, the new infrastructure money for housing might make us like luxury housing to be built. We'll see.
Haven't seen it yet, but when it comes in the door, I'll be glad to open it.
And I agree.
You might have to kick it down, but that's all right.
Right.
And I agree with a lot of what you said, Aaron. It's definitely something we have to be mindful of, but I do want to emphasize that, you know, and I got to go there. I mean, Troy brought me over to basically, they have these offices right near Howard University in DC that are about to open up. And they're actually both planners and architects. There's a ton of architects that work under the Torti Gallis umbrella. And, you know, you saw like they're about to go into their offices. They got the big screens that architects use, and, you know, and they still have the plastic wrap on them and everything. So they are very much a firm with architects and planners. So they do have that under that umbrella. And then, you know, Jaime, who has been basically our finance guru, who I think was actually involved with Vision 2020, because he just has this reputation nationwide as being a guy who really understands how to, you know, work the financial options through HUD and various federal options. And he's a true expert at it. So, you know, even though I had a few issues with different aspects of that plan, you know, Jaime's knowledge about the financing was definitely not one of them. And he's there for the finance. And so I just don't want you to think that they're strictly planners. There's people in this team that are architects. There's people in this team that understand the financing. So,
Good.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Dave. And I think some of those concepts of decision-making should go into our thinking about our next meetings as we call some special meetings as well. So that's been one heck of a time. It's been one heck of a week. We're tired. We get our energy back next week, but we're really excited. I think the staff thanks you as well, because everyone's excited about going down this road over the next months and the next years. This is an exciting thing for us.
Director, great job by everybody. And you know, I was
I'll tell them that.
a lot of those Wednesday meetings where I know, you know, Emil and Daniel and Lourdes and everybody who works for the Housing Authority, they put a lot of hours, guys, over the past like probably 2 months in getting last night planned out. And I thought it was pretty good. And I was pretty impressed.
So too. Our management staff came to bat, our maintenance staff came to bat. So I appreciate them very much for that. If there's nothing else on there right now, I'll move on. We did have a meeting out at Fox Hill Gardens. As you know, our first RAD development, approximately 30 residents attended. We got real good information to them. I think there's a lot of positive stuff going on there with the transition over to RAD. Everyone seems comfortable. Everyone's protected. They know where they are. They know what they're doing. And I think that's helping the overall effort to know as we do transition over to different financing platforms, which is the future of public and assisted housing, that people will remain safe. People will keep their units. People will, the housing authority will have that ownership in it, that we will be able to make these transitions without selling anything out. And that's a commitment I think we need to continue to make. And I think they're realizing that very strongly at Fox Hill. I go back and remind them now that we're here. We're not going anywhere. The housing authority is not going anywhere. Our A&E firm continues to scope out the work. We are having a meeting to review their construction budgets on the 24th. They're trying to fit all the work they can into their construction budgets, and we're bringing the budget to get as much money as we can over to the construction side for this first project over at Fox Hill. So we're having a meeting at the end of the month to hopefully finalize that and get that out to bid before the next board meeting. The Resident Advisory Board continues to meet. Thank you to those members. We do a lot of talking about the planning process there. We do a lot of talking about what's going on with staff, what's going on with the housing authority. So the Resident Advisory Board members that may be listening, thank you for your service. You continue to guide us very well. Policing security issues. We've had an interesting month on policing and security issues. Our security subcommittee met, and then hot on the heels of that, the Hoboken Police Department called a policing and community meeting on the 29th, which the security committee also attended along with other members of the community. And I know since our folks were there from the security committee, do you guys want to kind of take the ball on that one? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll jump in on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do what you want.
I thought those meetings were really good. I mean, we started with the smaller security committee first, and then we had that larger meeting. I think we're asking a lot of different stakeholders in the community to get involved. And I think they're willing to. I think there were a lot of really good ideas presented. I believe we scheduled the next community meeting for, is it next week? Might be the 23rd. I forgot what the change was, but there's another one scheduled relatively soon. We're going to continue those conversations. We're getting not only residents involved, but we're getting some of the business owners involved, some different organizations with the ability to kind of help residents in different areas, from job placement to social service issues with children and or themselves. I mean, it was really a good meeting, and I'm happy to see people getting excited about it. The one thing I would caution everybody is, I've been to meetings like that in the past, and in the beginning, everybody's really excited and everybody wants to move forward. And then that kind of dies down because there's not a lot of movement and people get frustrated. So I want to make sure that we do whatever we can, not only as the housing authority, but put my other hat on as a city councilman to really ensure that this plan moves forward and we secure our residents to the best possible scenario we could possibly present. And that's kind of where it is. But I think it's moving in the right direction. And I give all the kudos to Hoboken Police Department, who really put this all together. So Stephen, if you don't mind relaying that to them, especially the chief and Captain Giacobelli, Lieutenant Giganti, they were all great. So I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman. And as this moves forward, I can say on the ground, we've seen more walking police patrols here. And it's one of the things that came up, walking police patrols that can stop and talk to folks and get to know folks, to revolve those police so people get to know each other. We've seen that happening. I've been on the phone a number of times to Sergeant Giacobelli to talk about what they're coming up with and rolling up their sleeves for the next meeting. I think their approach of maybe reaching out and some of the young folks that are repeat offenders, and maybe not so young folks, but that to be able to sit down and hook them up with some counseling, hook them up with some other programs. They're not sitting idly. I mean, they've been calling me. What can we do here? What do you think we can do there? And that's really been impressive. I haven't seen that spark before. So hopefully we'll keep going on that. And you know, I was impressed. So,
Yeah. Director, if I could just add one other thing too that that I didn't mention, we have all levels of government involved in this conversation. We had a representative from the county. Our Commissioner Romano was there. We had our state assemblywoman there. And they are absolutely willing to help and do whatever it is that they can. And I know that if we reach out to our congressmen and the US senators in the state, they'll be most certainly willing to help as well, because I've had individualized conversations with them in the past. And I know this has been one of those things that we're all trying to solve for a long time. And this is a really good step forward. So all levels of government are going to be involved in this. So.
thank you. And I've really got to thank the members of that committee. You guys have really stepped up, and we've got to do it together. And if we don't do it together, it ain't going to work. So you have already stepped up, and let's keep that going. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thank you tremendously. I never want to get anybody's rank wrong. What's Gino's current rank? I can't.
He's a captain.
All right, Captain Giacobelli had actually reached out to me. I had a conflict, but just amazing. I mean, honestly, he's as great a guy as there is on the police force. And when I knew that you guys were having those meetings, it just was very reassuring to know that you're doing that. And honestly, Councilman, I'm very glad that you're a part of it, and that's why I wanted you on that committee. So, good job, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman, we are still dealing with COVID issues out there. There's the variant out there. We're still trying to be as safe as possible out there. I am talking to the union about our guys that have been on the front line during this whole pandemic, and kind of looking for some ways we might reward our union and non-union staff that has been there. We'll be reporting to you on that as we go through the next couple months. But I would like to find a way to give a big thank you to our folks that have been out there. You got to realize our folks, just like the nurses, just like the first responders, have been out there responding to things in apartments. They've been going out there trying to keep themselves and their families safe. And I've been having some serious conversations with the union reps and the union guys here about what we might be able to do to give a big thank you to them. So that's kind of underway right now. We have eased our restrictions a bit in our community rooms, but just a bit. We are allowing safe distance events such as bingos back. Everyone's happy, but making sure that there's a very limited number of people and that they're using masks and social distancing, because we do not want this COVID variant to get any good foothold at the Hoboken Housing Authority. So we continue to be careful on that. And we're continuing to focus on the most urgent work that we need to do. We are going to be continuing our waiving of late fees as we go along and the economy comes back completely. And I did attach an updated COVID-19 budget as attachment 4. Thank you, Emil, for producing that. We have a little bit of money left in there, and we may be looking at that for doing something for some of our staff members if possible. Housing for Hoboken met on July 28th. The overall planning process was reviewed, and we plan on inviting our planning partners to that meeting next time. We had kind of a short meeting this past month, but I think next time we're going to get into it a little more on where we are. We're excited to say we think we've got some movement. Well, we know we've got some movement really soon on our vacancy issues. And in my report, I say I appreciate those residents, applicants who have had to wait, but we're really on the verge. We're going to be getting all of our cabinets through the contractor on August 16th. So that's next Monday. They're going to be here so they can get busy going. And right after that, on September 1st, we're expecting the big shipment of appliances as well. So that really works because the cabinets get here, they get to work. And as those cabinets are bouncing in, the appliances go in and we're off and running. So we expect that in September, that we'll be getting anywhere from 19 to 25 units available. That's a big first step. And we'll be able to fill those fairly quickly. So we're going to have movement both on the transfer side and on the applicant side. Soon after that, the remaining units will come to us over the next month. So by the end of October, November 1st, we're expecting to have all those units in. We anticipate that by December, maybe sooner, we'll be up to a 95% occupancy level, which is where we should be. I always aim for at least a 97% with my staff, which is where we were before the elevator project and the relocation issues happened. But I think we can obtain that at this point. And I included a schedule in my report to you that kind of breaks it down from what the staff sees. But I think that's very obtainable. It kind of goes along with the opening of the waiting list too, because we've timed it that by mid-September, if not the first week of September, we're going to be able to be qualifying our first new applicants as well from our open waiting list. And I'll go a little slow on this because I want us to get our head around it. We did take applications. We got a lot of applications. We got about 5,000 for public housing, 5,000 for public housing, over 4,000 for Fox Hill. Our approach is to take 600, the first 600 for public housing. We will be reaching out to those 600 and we will be doing the second round of qualification on them. The applications that went in were pre-app. We then reach out to them and qualify them. And some may well fall out. it's probably inevitable. Some will fall out. Some will not qualify that applied for one reason or another. They'll be over income. There'll be another issue they may fall off over. And then if you're in that first 600, somebody falls out, number 601 comes down to the 600. And then by about mid-September, if not early September, we will have the final list of 600 people on our waiting list. Everyone will have their number. We will have it. It will be right there. And similar situation over at Fox Hill. We do the exact same kind of process at Fox Hill. Once we have that, we will unfortunately be having to notify the folks, the other 4,400 that applied, that they just didn't make the cut this time to get on the waiting list. But we will have that certain 600, and we will start housing people from there. We are planning at this point to do about a 2/3, 1/3, 2/3 new move-in, 1/3 transfer. Now, with the units we're going to be occupying over the next couple of months, that's going to make a significant dent in our transfer list. It really is. It's going to help a lot of the folks that may be listening tonight, or maybe out there that we've been talking about getting some of those threes, particularly the 2s and 3s that have been with the contractor. They're going to open up, and we're going to be able to get those folks transferred. And I know that's caused folks a lot of heartburn, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we're almost there. And I think by the end of 2021, I think we're going to be real proud of where we are in our total occupancy. Now, the one thing we have to remember is that every time we transfer somebody, that creates a new vacant unit. It's okay. We'll deal with that as those come up, because we'll still have our force account group coming. So it's exciting. We're there. We're getting there. We're really close.
Director, if I could ask a clarifying
Please do.
question.
Yeah.
So you said 5,000 for PHA and then 4,000 for Fox Hill. That's not a subdivision of one number, like the 4,000's apart from the 5,000, correct?
Total 9,000. About.
Yeah, that's just very telling, because you know, I've always, I mean, a lot of the people who are on the board know, you know, my biggest concern is Hoboken's gotten absurdly expensive. And although I'm concerned about maybe somebody who, you know, grew up here having a place here, I'm more concerned about a senior citizen who's lived here for 40 years getting displaced. I mean, that to me is the more tragic result than somebody who's coming out of college who's saying, like, I might not be able to afford Hoboken. Well, a lot of us might not be able to, my kids might not be able to afford Hoboken. Councilman Russo's kids might not be able to afford Hoboken, but that albeit tragic is not, in my mind, nearly as tragic as somebody who's lived here for 30, 40 years, who's facing possible displacement. So I just think that's something we should be mindful of as we plan going forward, that, you know, we don't want people that are entering the last decades of their lives who have lived here for decades to face the possibility of having to move out. Just want to make that point.
Thank you,
Very,
Sean.
very good point. Very good point.
Thank you.
So I think it's going to give us a great opportunity. And I think the total redevelopment plan gives us an opportunity if we can expand our housing stock. Those are questions to be answered yet, but I think it gives us a real opportunity. But we're moving ahead. Our software system is about half, 3/4 running. We have been doing extensive training during July. We've been doing extensive database transfer in July. We expect to be fully functional by mid-September. We're taking it one step at a time. It's a great process. We really look forward to being done. And again, among these times, a ton of effort by my staff. And I've really got to say thank you to the staff for doing this. Completely retraining on how we're doing business. You are going to like it in the end. We are cleaning up all of our data. We're going to be able to slice and dice our data much more intricately than we ever have been before. I mean, essentially what we do with the old system is we had to pull files and count. I mean, you know, it just was so antiquated. So we're really looking forward to getting this in full effect and being able to provide you more statistical data on our operations. So it's coming. Special project initiatives, our Housing Finance Agency project, the main work is complete. The initial work And if you'll remember, when we received this funding, there was a requirement through the Housing Finance Agency to put about 20% of the contract amount aside for possible change orders or possible changes in the work. Well, the work has gone so well that we didn't use up that money. And the funds available have quite a bit over $1 million, about $1.5 million left there. So we've approached the Housing Finance Agency saying we want to use that money. We've gotten nods from the Housing Finance Agency. We're almost there. We do have a change order for the contractor in front of you tonight, later as a resolution. And once we have that approved by you, should you approve it, we then send that over to the Housing Finance Agency. We can then, upon their approval, turn directly to the contractor and say, go, let's go, let's move. So he's ready, we're ready. So hopefully before the snow flies, we can have him out there working. And this is important because a lot of the work that is proposed here is exterior work at Andrew Jackson. It's work that has hit us hard on REAC. It's work that, for those of you that have been around Andrew Jackson, you've seen the remnants still of Hurricane Sandy, where we have got some retaining walls that are askew that walk down to our basements. We've got some brickwork that has just been ignored for years and years. It's more than we can afford and past our staff capability on much of this work. And that's included in this work for Andrew Jackson through the Housing Finance Agency money. This will also allow us to go into Adams and redo the boiler system and related work at Adams. So we'll be able to get Adams brand new boiler delivery systems. So we'll be set there for the next 30 or 40 years. So these are two projects that I'm really excited about. And I think we can make happen fairly quickly. So we look forward to that one. The Adams Garden floor tile has been installed at the lobby. That was kind of left over from some of the elevator work at Adams. And of course, the elevator got finished 2 months ago. Harrison Roofing, just some very basic punch list items are left. Their material finally got here. If you remember, we're waiting because of, again, COVID issues. They're waiting on the final flashing. That finally got there and they're finishing up there. We've got new compactors that are underway. We've got specs being generated or being made for our 7 emergency generators, which will complete our round of generators at all of our locations. So we will have new generators at all locations once this gets bid out and the work gets underway. They're having some issues between the engineers, making sure that the gas pressure is correct, but they're working those out now. Specifications are being developed for the repair of the facade at Monroe and Adams. We expect to have that out to bid and to you by the September meeting. We have had that facade issue out there that is going out for bid as we speak. We've got a pre-construction meetings, a pre-job meeting scheduled. Sorry, pre-job meeting, not pre-construction. We'll be receiving bids before the next board meeting, and we expect to have it in front of you in September so we can get this work started and completed before the snow flies. I was asked last meeting to see if I can get a statement from the architect to the effect that that facade does not in any way link to the structure of the building. So there's no fear that what you're seeing on the building affects the structure, with the idea of what happened in Miami in mind. And I did attach in your packet a statement from the architect that that facade work in no way is related to the actual physical structure of the building. It is a facade. So it could all fall off and the structure of the building would still stand. I will mention a structural engineer in a few minutes, because that's another track we're taking, but that does not affect this work over at Adams and Monroe. Management report, we're still struggling with some of the court system issues out there, and I think the court system is going to be a little overloaded once things open up. Management continues to give a special thanks to the police department, and we have been focused on our software transitions. On the voucher side, we have issued 5 tenant-based vouchers, as at the last meeting we said we would. So we have 5 new tenants out there looking for a place to live. They have not come back yet to move in, but we hope they'll be back in the very near future. We have had a surprise REAC inspection. This is where I relate back to the structural engineer. We've been talking about having REAC inspections this fall. HUD contacted me on a Friday and said that a REAC inspection would be here Tuesday morning. They usually give you 30 to 60 days notice. They were worried that we had structural issues at Andrew Jackson. That's what they're worried about. So they sent the inspector out. He saw some separation in between our buildings. He saw some cracks down in the basements, and HUD got back in touch with me from the regional side, and we agreed to have a structural engineer out immediately, and we did. And the structural engineer essentially told them what we could have told them, which is that the gap between the building was an expansion joint that was designed that way. He agrees, the structural engineer. This is a nationally known firm. He did his initial inspection. He sees no reason that we should think there are any structural problems with these buildings. He went through everything the inspector found, and he found a perfectly reasonable explanation why a 70-year-old building might have a crack in a concrete floor that is not tied to the structure of the buildings. For example, I don't know if you know, but our concrete floors in our cellars where our boilers are, they're floating slabs. They're not attached to the structure of our buildings. They're independent. And with dear old Hoboken, where we're built, they move because things move there. Now, our structural members go down to bedrock, but these floating slabs, just like our sidewalks, move, so they'll crack. You get a movement, you get a crack. An inspector from outside comes in and looks at that cracks and goes, oh my gosh, I better report this. Well, he did. We had the structural engineering out. He verified with us that this was a floating slab and nothing to do with the contract. So having said that.
And they actually crack less than they would if they didn't move.
Well, yeah, well, sure. But over 70 years.
No, but I mean,
Director, who was the?
my
who was
roommate
the
in college
engineer?
was a civil engineer, and it's like, that's the way that stuff works. It's like, it moves because it's so prone to cracking. And if it didn't move, it would be rubble within a few years because the ground shifts so much.
Yeah, their short name is WJE Associates. And they are a nationally known structural engineer. I can certainly email out the contact information to you. So if anyone would want to call them independently, he is submitting, and this is the last part of my report on this, since he was here and HUD has agreed that we need to take a look, I am going to retain him to do a total structural study of all of our buildings. And HUD has even instructed me that I am more than free to do this on a no bid basis, as long as we feel, along with our architect, that the fee is just. He has promised me that he will have that full proposal to me tomorrow. Okay. So they're going to be with the full proposal, and I'm certainly hoping by the next board meeting we'll have some significant process on that. We met with him about 9 days ago when he was here in town for the day, inspecting our buildings. And he said they could get started in 2 to 3 weeks. So I would think that a week to 2 weeks from now, they'll be able to be on the ground here doing the intensive study with us.
Okay.
I think a lot of this was in response to what happened in the that building in Miami.
It is.
There.
And I understand that, and
Which is
that's
not,
okay.
which is not a bad thing. I mean,
Not bad.
I'm now on the condo board at the Sky Club, and we've been doing the same thing. We've had civil engineers putting in bids. We're just going to have basically our entire the structure of our building analyzed and made sure that it's safe. And that's just something that people are doing throughout the country in response to that. It's a good thing, but that's what this is. That's what triggered all of this.
Well, it's also that our buildings came up out of a swamp. So this
Oh,
is a
sure.
good thing to do.
Absolutely. Historic fill.
Yeah, this is, just to clarify, it is WJE Associates. They're out of Princeton, New Jersey. It is Wiss, Cheney and Eisner Associates out of Princeton, New Jersey. And I think if you Google WJE, you will find them. And they were referred with very high recommendation from our architectural firm.
Mhm.
Mr. Daniel, would you like to give us a little view of our resident services report?
Thank you, Director. Hello, Commissioners. Good evening. Just want to be able to highlight a few things relating to resident services. We have been working with Hoboken Family Alliance. They received a grant from the city of Hoboken to provide groceries to a number of families on campus, in addition to prepare meals at our senior building. So they've been doing this over the summer and hope to continue this program into the fall. So that have been phenomenal, complementing the work that the Hoboken Food Pantry has been doing for a number of years now at the Hoboken Housing Authority. So we really appreciate the efforts and support that the Hoboken Family Alliance continues to provide our community. When I first started in 2017, the residents of Christopher Columbus were looking for additional services, programs, and activities. At that time, being that they're one of two buildings that are the farthest away from our main campus, there was not too many activities or programs over there. So a great partner just appeared, Pastor Matt from Miles Square Church, and he has been providing programs and activities for our residents over there. So he started a barbecue series every month. He does barbecue over the spring, summer, and fall, and that has really engaged that community. He has also partnered with the Hoboken Housing Authority for the holiday celebrations as well, which will be Christmas and Thanksgiving. So we really do thank Pastor Matt over the past 2.5 years, his support and commitment to the residents of Christopher Columbus. Additionally, the director had mentioned the Resident Advisory Board. They have been instrumental in the work that resident services and the overall Hoboken Housing has been doing in terms of outreach and support to our community. I wanted to highlight Sandra Smith, who is the resident council president for Monroe. She held a back to school event with, of course, the various partners that she was able to bring together to be able to support the residents with back to school supplies and other activities on that day. So really do thank Sandra Smith for her commitment and continue efforts in ensuring that housing authority families get some resources from various partners in the community. Also, Ms. Carmen Vega did retire from the prosecutor's office, right? And she wanted to dedicate her time and energy to the residents of Fox Hill. She was elected resident council president, and she has been extremely active in bringing many activities and programs. So we're really, really busy. The residents of Fox Hill are extremely busy with the various outdoor bingo events and the various activities and programming and flea markets. So I really do thank Carmen Vega for her vision, her effort, and her commitment. And the Hoboken Housing Authority and Resident Services will continue to, of course, support our resident council presidents in any activities and programs that they want to do. And of course, we thank the Resident Advisory Board, just their amazing commitment and willingness to help and support their residents. So do thank you, resident advisory board members, for everything that you do for the Hoboken Housing Authority, and of course your particular development as well. As you know, we had any number of different services that have been provided. COVID testing continues at our sites twice a month. So we really do thank the City of Hoboken and Department of Health for bringing those services to our community. And COVID vaccination is also every Thursday through the support of the City of Hoboken. We just had our testing today. It finished at 7 at 221 Jackson Street, and that continues every Thursday. So we really do thank them for their amazing effort. And finally, again, the Hoboken Food Pantry. They're just phenomenal. They're just amazing. They've been working with us since the beginning, and we really do thank everyone at the Hoboken Community Center, right, the Hoboken Food Pantry, for the continued support to the Hoboken Housing Authority family. So they'll be here tomorrow on site at 311 Harrison Street, providing such needed food for our community. So thank you, Hoboken Food Pantry. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Daniel. And I think we talked earlier about, just as long as we mention it, we probably need to get some water out there in the morning, some little bit extra water for folks out at the food pantry. I do want to say that last Saturday's event, about 200 book bags and with back to school equipment were handed out last Saturday. Thank you all that were involved with that. It was just a great day. And I think they've got some plans to try to hold a trunk or treat coming up on Halloween. So
That's correct.
yeah, keep that on the horizon. That should be a great event and fun day. The residents are making it happen out there, along with Daniel and everyone's help. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that will conclude my report.
Well, thank you. I think we pretty much covered the committee updates. Did I miss anything?
No, I think we did. Committees, yeah.
All right, great. So now we're up to the public portion, I believe.
Yes.
All right. So who do we have queued up to speak in the public portion tonight?
I think we're going to start with Ray Rodriguez, Angel.
All right. Ray Rodriguez, are you? I'll start the clock till I know you're in.
Chairman, he's still as an attendee.
All right. Angel, don't make me look bad. Jen Giattino is going to call me and say, why aren't you running this meeting yourself, Mala?
Excuse me, Chairman, can Angel promote him?
Yes, he's doing that right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
He's on it. All right, I see Mr. Rodriguez's name pop up. Are you with us, Mr. Rodriguez?
His name Tony. Hey, Dave, I'm sorry, Dave. I was having problems with my computer. Did you set the timer yet?
I have not. I'm setting it right now. All right. So
Are you ready for me?
The floor is yours.
Okay. So I want to give you guys an update of all the things that we are planning. The Amazing True Society karate program at Housing Authority. I'm now in the talks with Barbara Reyes and several other people, Emily Jabora and Ruben Ramos. I would like to have a yearly Nerf Wars tournament. We already purchased the trophies. They're about 3 feet for the champions. And hopefully we can raise some money to also give them maybe $100 gift card each kid. The teams will be in teams of 10. The ages will be starting from ages 6 all the way to the age of 14, 15. We might even extend that to maybe 18 years old, but it's strictly for kids. I have the guns, I have all the safety gear, and hopefully we could find a venue to have it in. That hopefully would happen around December before Christmas. And also our Christmas giveaway will be around the same time. We're looking forward to 2022 to bring back our Amazing True Society karate tournament that had ran for 4 years in Hoboken at the multi-center. And I'm pretty sure that brings a lot of revenue because people don't go home to eat. They actually stay in Hoboken, and they have expressed to me numerous times how cool it was to come out and eat in Hoboken. Halia will, in around June, we're talking about giving an award ceremony for kids in academics and in karate. I would like to talk about also, I would like to implement these floor stay 6 feet in the community room if there's any way possible. We've been doing still temperature checks. We've been making sure that they sanitize their hands and clean their hands. But to make the parents feel a little safer, I think that would be a good idea to put these things on the ground and make sure that everybody sees them, because housing, we care. So being that we care that much, this is telling the parents exactly that. I would like to also address two things. I would like to ask, why are we not on the website of the Housing Authority? Because we should be in there. We've been there 12 years now. This October makes 12 years we've been providing services to these kids, making sure they graduate, making sure that they do much more than the average program. So I would like to know why we're not on the website. I don't know. I've been giving Danny so many pictures, so many things, you know, so much stuff. Another thing is, I would like to ask Danny if he's present, why was he going to take the community room for a week from us when we're trying to get ready for the talent show that Barbara Reyes will be having, I believe, in September? So is he present?
Yeah, we don't get into a back and forth, so.
I wasn't going to back and forth. I just wanted the answer.
No, and I'm just trying to keep an orderly meeting, so.
No, Dave, you're not going to have a problem with me.
No, I know that, Ray. So, you know.
Because I'm just saying that when you take it for a week.
We'll make sure, yeah.
You know, when you disrupt a program, when you take it for a week, you give a kid a chance to say, you know what, I'm going to stay home from now on. And that's what we don't want to do. We don't want them doing something.
I'm a teacher, so I hear you. You don't want anything to like.
Keep them active, man. Keep them active. That's what we need to do. And housing has to be on the front line of that.
We'll follow up on it, all right?
You know, so I got 31 seconds left. Okay, so I'm looking forward to this talent show in September. I have a 9-year-old little girl that I'm guaranteeing you this. I'm telling you this now. She's going to blow your mind. She's going to make you guys want to join a karate school if you're not in one now. So, guys, that's it. That's all I have. Director, I look forward to seeing you hopefully Tuesday. And that's it. God bless everyone. Russo, I'm glad you're there, man. God bless you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Dave, thank you, Dave. Once again, thank you, everybody. God bless you all.
Always right.
I'll keep you posted if we change anything.
Yeah, and just,
See you Tuesday, Ray.
Thank you.
Comments, I don't see any reason why we can't have, on our website, if somebody could talk to our
Please.
website facilitator, just have a, a page for each of our service providers, where they can send over, photos and things like that. Just have a live kind of stream of what they're doing with their programs. Once we give them a program, I don't see a problem with that. And then I had to tell you, Mr. Rodriguez, if I was the king of the Nerf wars, man, I wouldn't need $100 gift certificate. I'd be just like that I was the king of the Nerf wars. That sounds phenomenal. Sounds really good. All right. Thank you. Who's next to speak?
Yeah, there is no more, Chair. We don't have any more to speak. We have 4 chats that I'm going to forward to the managers. We have no emails.
All right, great. So nothing else to read into the record?
Correct.
All right, great. All right, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Let's move on to the next part of the agenda. All right, so we're on to the resolutions. So number 7, reading and approval, resolution number 2021-08.01, a resolution to approve the minutes for the July 8th, 2021 monthly board meeting. I will make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have any questions about the meeting minutes? All right, if we could have a vote, please.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes, M. Russo,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
yes,
All right, resolution number 2021-08.02, a resolution authorizing the payment of the monthly list of bills for the Hoboken Housing Authority. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
second,
All right, any questions? All right,
Yeah, real quick, Chairman. Emil, did you ever get me the account balance for the RAD programming? I asked for it, I think, last month at the meeting, just to give me an update on like where we're at and how much money's left for events and programming through the through the resident advisory group.
Right. I did not get you that. I apologize.
Can you just, can you get me that?
We'll make sure
You know
we
what I'm
get
talking
is
about,
this
right?
is this the resident
Yes.
service? So Daniel and the programs, like
Yes.
where we are
Yes.
to date and what the budget was. Okay.
That's right. Correct.
Okay. I'm sorry.
and Emil, anything like that, I think if you could just forward it to all commissioners and just make a note that it shouldn't be
Yeah.
responded to, but it's just a sharing of information with all commissioners.
Sure. We'll do.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? I thought we were going to have, in my 9 years plus of service, the first time we were ever not going to have questions about the list of bills, but Commissioner Impastato ruined that. All right, if we could have a vote, please.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes, M. Russo,
Aye.
J. Sanford,
Staying.
E. Seitzman.
yes,
All right, resolution number 2021-08.03, a resolution to increase the amount of the contract for extraordinary capital improvement. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
second,
All right, any questions or concerns?
What is the work for?
This is for the remaining funds in the Housing Finance Agency project that we're going to be doing significant exterior work at Andrew Jackson and boiler and related work over at Adams.
Okay.
Any other questions or comment?
I don't think you heard us. Yeah.
If we could have a vote, please.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes, M. Russo,
Aye.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
yes,
Resolution number 2021-08.04, a resolution to increase the amount of the contract for the maintenance and servicing of boilers and associated mechanical equipment.
No.
I will make the motion. Do I have a second?
Sorry.
Chairman,
Chair, I sent the updated revise at the last, maybe around 1 o'clock.
Oh, am I reading
Yeah.
the list of resolutions?
the actual resolution has the correct title, but the title on the agenda
Agenda.
was mistaken.
All right.
So it is a resolution to award a contract, not to
Let me
increase it.
Let me read the proper title. So the title on the original is correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yes.
on the actual resolution, yes.
All right, so tell me if I'm wrong this time. Resolution number 2021-08.04, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to award a contract for the maintenance and servicing of boilers and associated mechanical equipment. Is that correct? this time?
Correct.
I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or comments? All right, if we could have a vote, please.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes, M. Russo,
Aye.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 2021-08.05, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to purchase a skid steer loader. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I would just like to say that this is an important maintenance item. It will help us immensely when that snow flies. This is used by the maintenance department to clear those sidewalks and make things safe throughout our development. We have one now that is really old, that is just breaking down consistently, so it's time to replace it.
This is one of those sidewalk with bobcats, right?
Yeah, Sammy, sidewalk with Bobcat?
Well, this is sidewalk width. You can actually put it to drop on the sidewalk, but we also need it for the inner roads of our facility. Due
Nice.
to the fact that we have these immense trucks and now the parking is more dense, so it's easier for us to get in and out of without any incidents happening. And it'll help us immensely with it.
Very good. Sammy, I might just want to get to drive one of those in the first snowstorm. All right.
They're fun.
As long as you have your hours, you're more than welcome.
All right.
So is this to replace the one that we have now? Or is this to
Actually,
work
add-on.
in addition to the one that we have now?
And Sammy, speak up a little bit, Sammy.
I'm sorry, it's an add-on.
Yeah.
It's actually an add. We have one that's probably 2000, and it's like the boy, like Mr. Recco said, is breaking down on us a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And we drive out of
And
our
the-
facilities as well as to 13th Street, 8th and 9th Street, Adams, and we operate all through the snow with it. So we need it to be
And I'm-
reliable.
And okay, and I'm sorry, but who is Sammy?
Sammy is our maintenance supervisor.
So is this now the new maintenance director?
No, he's our maintenance supervisor.
So we don't have a maintenance director still?
Correct.
Not
And
yet.
how many months are we going on that?
Well, a number of months now, and that's kind of a long story. I'd be glad probably to talk about it at length. I'm not sure whether, like a legal opinion from a lawyer and whether how much I should go into that. But we have been interviewing folks, and Emma and I have been working hard on it, and we had a couple great prospects and they didn't work out. And so we're back out and re-interviewing again.
Okay, so Sammy's in and he's handling all the stuff. Now, this is something that this association, organization, we have been handling without two of these devices for the longest amount of time, right? Or did we have two at one point and now we're down to essentially one, so we're getting a second one?
No, I believe we have one that is getting old and undependable. So they want to purchase a second one. That doesn't mean they're going to instantly retire the first one. But
And Sammy, you want to give some perspective on that? Because Sammy's in the middle of this. He deals with this snow removal.
Well, actually, we're not replacing the old one. We just can't rely on it to driving it up to 13th Street down from our lower on the west side. So our parking lots need to be attended as well. And with a snow blower, it won't help. The snow plows on the trucks are too big. They were okay for the parking lots, but being that the parking is being so intense now, it's being more reliable on us actually slipping and hitting the car to avoid all that issue and putting wear and tear on our trucks as well. So this machine is more suitable for the job.
And when the old one breaks down in the middle of a snowstorm, which we're worried about, we're stuck.
We're stuck
Yeah,
with one.
and that
Correct.
older one is the sorry to chime in, Sammy and Mr. Recco. That older one is a larger capacity one, and that's the one that will get sent up for the most part to 13th Street, for example. That older one that's close to 20 years old did break down just this past winter in February. It is
Correct.
now, we made the repairs to it, but the concern is that if it breaks down again, we were down to one machine for probably 2 months, Sammy, this
Correct.
past one. And so this is
Correct.
kind of just preventative so that we're not in that situation again.
Got it. And can you go through, I was looking at the cost. It's a certain amount of money, and then there's an addition, the base is a certain amount, and then there's added features, right?
Yeah,
Emily,
I
you
think
wanna-
so I think the base is $39,000, but one of the big components of it is basically a ride controller, a suspension kit, and in the Hoboken roads, we absolutely need that. So yeah, that is $5,000, but I don't think we could do without that. Sammy's weighed in on this proposal, and the other big component is that it doesn't come with a bucket. This bucket is for loading equipment, whether once it's been pushed, it could be snow, whatever the case may be, and then it's buying the actual blade and the pusher to push the snow. So that really, the base price is $40,000.
So it's almost like buying a car.
Yeah, I mean, these are expensive pieces of equipment. In 2017, we purchased a New Holland. It wasn't as big as this one. Like I said, the older machine that was purchased in about 2000 was a bigger capacity. It was a 485. What we purchased in 2017 was a New Holland as well, and that came to about $42,000. So this is running 60 grand. But this is via it's via a cooperative. So this is previously bid, and it's nationwide pricing.
Yeah. Sure. And there's no, this is brand new, right?
Brand new, yeah. So I think that's got, once we, if we get the approval on this, we would have to issue a purchase order, and we're looking at up to about 60 days lead time. So hopefully we'll have this before the winter.
And last question, just for my personal knowledge, and so I can, if someone asks me, do we not go out to see if we can get a used one? Because what is the reason there why we can't look to see if like another city is getting rid of one, or we need to get one?
Well, and operating this machine for so long, I've been on the machine close to 22 years. It's not really reliable because we don't know the damage or the wear that they put on that previous machine. So basically, you can purchase a used car not knowing how long that engine is going to last. So I really won't like to take that chance in the dead middle of the winter and break down on me, and then I'm stuck with no machines, which is
Gentlemen, I fully agree. I had a friend who bought a Jeep that used to be used for snow plowing, and another friend who owned Jeeps for years just ridiculed him. Like, you don't buy used equipment that's been pushing snow. It might be totally trashed and destroyed. It's not a good idea. So
just to add on, when it's snowing, these machines don't stop. They're constantly running.
No,
it's going to be a lot of wear and tear on the machine because it's constantly going to be running.
When it comes to things
14, 15 hours.
You're usually better off buying new. So
correct.
Good job, and
Sammy, good job as a procurement manager and a property manager. I understand what you're going through, so good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We need good equipment for our guys.
And Sammy, I teach in a school where our principal was interim for 2 years, man. So there's nothing wrong with that. So good job. You're doing a great job.
Well, it has to be safety first. So you have to make sure that the.
I'm talking about it. I'm talking about his interim status. There's nothing wrong with that.
Director.
No, but I think it's important to have the equipment to be safety first. So if you don't know if you're using something that's used, how do you know it's safe? That's my biggest.
Guys, everyone, we get it. I'm just questioning and seeing if we exhausted all the options. I understand we need to be safe. I know we need good equipment, but just like last year at this time, when we tried to buy 3 different vehicles and we wound up noticing that we didn't need to buy 3 vehicles at the tune of $180,000. That's where my line of questioning goes. This association doesn't have a great track record of spending money wisely and efficiently. And I'm just making sure that the T's are crossed The I's are dotted.
I
I
hear
don't
you.
actually appreciate the further questioning on my questions on top of it. That, oh, great job. I'm in project management. Yeah, I got it. He's doing a great job, and I understand
I hear
safety
you.
first.
I hear you. I hear you.
Mr.
All right,
Chairman, if I
just want to
can.
make sure that that's, you guys are like teaming up on me because of my line of questioning here.
I'm teaming up on you.
It's
Yeah.
awesome
Mr. Chairman,
questions.
if I
Yes.
can.
Awesome
Yes,
questions. Like, just-
Councilman Chairman Russo.
Thank you. The only thing I just wanted to add is, I understand the questioning and I understand the need for new equipment. I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention in the city, as a councilman and as someone who was involved in this conversation with city-owned vehicles. What we did was we actually put together a plan where we don't actually own all of our vehicles. Well, we own them, but there's almost like a constant turnover every 2 or 3 years. We're giving back those vehicles, and then that company's reselling them, and we're getting a new vehicle. Director, if you need me to get you in contact with our director in the city to have that conversation, you never run into the problem of having something that's 21 years old at that point. So it's just food for thought for everybody, and it kind of handles both sides of this issue, making sure we always have new equipment and making sure we're doing the best we can when it comes to our finances.
Yeah, no,
I would love to have that conversation.
Great point, Commissioner Russo. Appreciate that experience and knowledge. Well noted.
Thank you.
Because I do not believe we spend money unwisely, and I do believe that we need things that we bring to our board.
All right, so if we can have a vote, please.
A.M. Costato,
And I said no. Sorry.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes, M. Russo,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
All right, resolution number 2021-01.06. A resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to extend the contract for the trash chute maintenance services. Should 01 or 08? 08-06, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to extend the contract for the trash chute maintenance services. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? If we could have a vote, please.
A.M. Costato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes, M. Russo,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
All right, and then the final resolution number 2021-08.07, a resolution to authorize the executive director to sell authority property through public auction, sealed bid of through an interlocal sale to another governmental unit. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any comments or questions?
What are we selling?
Good,
our old copiers,
good question.
old copiers,
Okay.
old copy machines.
All right, any other comments or questions? If we get a vote, please.
A.M. Costato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
B. Reyes, M. Russo,
Aye.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
Good.
Mr. Chair, I think there's another resolution.
That's correct. It was part of the revised agenda
Yes.
that Lord's referred to earlier.
This is an important one too.
Let me pull that one up. Yes, it is an important one. All right.
Thank you, Harold.
Just to show you I'm still here.
It's the one title correction on the agenda, correct? All right.
Correct, yes.
The true final resolution is resolution number 2021-08.08, a resolution to authorize the closure of Harrison Gardens courtyard during select hours. I will make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you for correcting me on that one. This is an important one. Director, could you give us a little color to this?
Sure, I can. And anyone from the security committee who's really involved with this feels free to jump on in. We've had some, extensive talks with the police department, with the residents at Harrison, including Commissioner Reyes, who couldn't be here with us tonight, about what we're going to do about the Harrison courtyard and how we're going to approach the Harrison courtyard. As I think everyone here knows, we've had some real issues there this summer. We've had some fights, we've had some actual shooting issues there. And over time, that doesn't even begin to reflect the nighttime music and the people hanging out in the courtyard and the loud stuff that goes on over there. And one of the things that we brainstormed on with the security committee and with the community meeting with the Hoboken Police Department was the concept of the housing authority making a statement that the Harrison Gardens courtyard is closed at 9:00 p.m. It's closed. You are not to be on it after 9:00 p.m. until 6:00 a.m. And we will have to work with the police on setting up some of the finer details of, what happens when somebody's just walking through and they live there and all of that. But it will give the police a real tool to be able to better enforce trespassing rules, trespassing laws, and to be able to just come out and say, if you're on there at 9:00, you've got to go. I think it's a good tool for us. So Councilman or Andrew or anyone else want to jump on in?
If I can, I mean, when the director says the housing authority is going to make a statement by doing this, it's not us as the commissioners who's making that statement, right? This was born of residents and their concerns. They're the ones who kind of started this conversation. They don't want the noise outside their window at 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30 in the morning, right? They want peace. They want some semblance of a normal life because their window sits outside toward the courtyard. That's not fair, right? So we're in a position where we have the ability as the authority and the board to make that change from a policy perspective. And because of that change, that gives the City of Hoboken and specifically the Hoboken Police Department the ability then to act on that change. And that, I think, is the way forward with a lot of the concerns when it comes to safety for our residents, to make sure that the city's working very closely with the Housing Authority, the Police Department, and any other agency that's willing to get on board and do what they can to make sure that our residents are safe every single day. So this is not just a decision by us as the authority, as the commissioners of the authority, but this is a decision made by the residents of the Housing Authority. And I'm so happy to have those residents stepping up and asking for this change. So I'm very happy that we have this on tonight.
Well said.
Yeah, and if I could just add,
Sure.
the security
Sure.
committee meeting was very productive. And I think, it's the collaboration in what our residents are saying, along with the advice and expertise of what the police are saying, right? And giving us as much feedback as possible on what they're seeing and what they're noticing. Because we want to make their jobs easier as well. But our primary concern is the residents. So it's kind of working hand in hand on what the residents are seeing and hearing, letting us know what the concern is, us going into a security committee, bringing the police in, and all together collaboratively, we're coming up with a resolution that we all now are going to approve. And I think that's a great process to have. It makes sense. The police think it's a good idea. And a lot of the times the people that are making the noise or the disturbance in this area are not from Hoboken. They come from other areas, Jersey City, Union City, wherever it is, and they come onto our property and they're the ones making the noise. So if we can take away the spot that they're going to be and can comfortably, interact with each other in a loud way, then that might help the situation a little bit and let our residents have some peace at night. So I thank everyone. And just to add, that committee meeting was one of the most effective one I've been a part of since I've joined here on this housing. We had the police chief, the members of the security committee and the director and his staff. And it was a great meeting. I mean, we went over a lot of stuff to hopefully make our residents more safe and everything go a little more peaceful. So
And
thanks for allowing me to share that.
Just to add, again, put that other hat on, right?
Sure.
So there's no mistake that anyone from the housing authority is concerned that because we're now limiting those hours in the courtyard, that it will, any issues may move to different areas of the housing authority. I, as a councilman, I'm going to ask the chief of police through that committee to make sure that we have police officers peg posted wherever that may move. So this is not just about one area. This is about the entire complex, the annexed complexes outside of the main campus. This is about every single resident in the housing authority and making sure that they're protected all the time. So this is, and I just want to make that point because I know there were some concerns about where people may move to on the property. And that is something that I'm sure Stephen's aware of, and he can most certainly bring that back to the chief as well. But as a councilman, I will be having that conversation with the chief myself.
And Councilman, you're on the Public Safety Committee on the City Council as well?
Correct.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then Sergeant Krantz, do you want to add anything to it from the HPD point of view?
So I'd actually like to echo Commissioner Russo's words. It's not, I don't want to say a breath of fresh air, but I would love to have the housing authority on board. It is an uphill battle for us. Unfortunately, we can't determine in the moment who lives there, who does not. But moving out of that courtyard 100% would be beneficial. Commissioner Russo, all I could say is I only have one hat to wear. You have two. So my hat, law enforcement, but it's more public safety than anything. And I would love if all of the residents were on board with that they know where we're coming from. So if we have the green light or the blessing from the housing authority, and they are amply aware of that this is going, whenever this decides to go into effect, if they're aware that this is going to be enforced 9 p.m. or if you're going to meet maybe a little bit later, 10 p.m., depending on the year or the time of the year rather, I would love that they have the notice, the advance notice that when we're coming in, if this is just not something new, where unfortunately we always look like the bad guy. And I'm okay with that because we're tough skinned and we knew what we signed up for. But if a new prong is going to be brought out for us to enforce, I would absolutely like them to be aware of it first, if that's an option.
Great point. Absolutely.
Of course, absolutely. This will take a rollout. We will be sending out notices. It'll take some time to figure out the signs, where they should be put and get the signs produced, all of that. But we will do that one step at a time in collaboration with the police department.
And Director, if I could just add, Sergeant, that is part of the resolution itself, that there will be notice to the residents. There will be signs posted, and that the Housing Authority will work with the police department to implement this new strategy.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic, guys. Great work on that committee, and thank you for everything you guys have done. All right. Any further comments or questions? We could have a vote, please.
A.M. Pistato.
Yes.
A. Lewitt.
Yes.
D. Mello.
Yes.
B. Reyes. M. Russo.
Aye.
J. Sanford.
Yes.
E. Seitzman.
Yes.
Okay. I don't believe there's any new business or call for a closed session.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. New business wise, Chairman, if I could.
yes, Commissioner, you have the floor.
Thank you. So last meeting, I brought up the new business about the director's evaluation, yearly evaluation.
Yes.
You instructed me to send an email.
Yes, I did receive your email. You had sent it when I was away, but I've reviewed it, and yeah, it's we've traditionally done the review in the fall, so I have not given it urgency, but I'm taking what you've said under consideration, and we will move forward over the next month or so.
Okay, so just to, when you say move forward, you think that that evaluation period will be an evaluation done by the entire board, right?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we have traditionally done the evaluation in the fall. And the committee has been the one that has participated in the evaluation process. So the committee will take your email under consideration and whether we should change the policy within the board. But that's going to happen over the next month or so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just one thing.
Sure.
The use of Mama Johnson Field.
Yes.
It came to my attention only because now I have my 5-year-old son playing football. So,
nice.
So they were down there and they were supposed to have one of their practices. And at that point, softball came on and there was a mix-up in timing. So 2 things. One, who is making the decisions of scheduling for the field? And if that is anyone other than the Housing Authority, because I know we work really close with the city's director when it comes to recreational programs.
Absolutely.
If in fact the recreational, the director who has recreation under him is making those timing and scheduling decisions, I would like to have this board and the authority consider potentially having our very own recreation department. And I know we kind of do, but I think we should give it a little bit more thought as to having a lot more teeth when it comes to the use of our field and the programming of that field. And I know this has been an ongoing conversation for years, right? I mean, back years ago when I served on this authority, it was a topic of conversation then as well. But I think
it got complicated like right around the time when you left. I guess I came in right after you, and right around that time was when they got into the agreement with the city to redevelop the field, and that actually made things more convoluted when it came to scheduling. So
right, yeah, and again, I think there's a way for all of it to work cohesively, but I think there's more often than, I shouldn't say more often than not, there's enough of a conflict throughout the different sporting seasons where you run into things like that, where one team may think they have the field to practice and then someone else shows up because they have a game scheduled or something like that.
Sure.
So it's just something for everybody to consider, and we most certainly could talk about it offline, but I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. And like I said, the only reason I was aware of it because I was standing there when it happened, because I brought my son down to the field for practice.
No, great point. And actually, if you could reach out to me like ASAP on that, because I think you and I kind of understand like the different, facets to that problem better than most. Anything that we could do, any suggestions you have on working out that schedule a little bit better where we don't have situations like that, I'm super open to. And are you one of the members of the backup on that committee? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. I gotta look.
I think you might be the backup.
I might be.
We'll figure it out. So
Yep.
if it means me stepping out of a committee meeting to get you in there, we'll figure it out. But
Okay, great.
let's link up offline on that as soon as possible.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, any other new business or any other comments?
I'd just like to say also, Councilman, that I would be glad to have a conversation with you on how we schedule those each year and how we work with the city and who has what chunks, because we do sit down and schedule those.
Great, thank you.
Bring them along.
All right, and before I make a motion to adjourn, I just want to thank again everybody who worked for the Housing Authority who put in time into last night. I mean, I'll start with Daniel, but it goes to, and Lourdes, and it goes through the whole organization. You guys did a great job, and I thought it went really well. And it was nicely attended. It was facilitated properly. Right down to the waters and Gatorade. You guys did a great job. So thank you so much. I know that was a lot of work.
Thank you, Chairman. On behalf of the staff, thank you. I'll pass that along to everybody.
Yes.
If we were
Is that going to be posted somewhere?
the 3 of you deserve a round of applause. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, more than three of us, that's for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, the
Commissioner
results.
Casado,
See you
is-
clapping, Matt.
Is there any archives of the meeting that'll be posted?
Yes, as I said in my report, the presentation that was given is not only going to be posted, if it isn't already, on the website, and we will also have paper copies here. The results of the breakout sessions will be posted. They are being transcribed. All of the flip charts will be transcribed along with pictures of the flip charts. So everyone can see we're not missing anything. And we're working on getting the video of the entire event. We did record it. Unfortunately, we didn't have the tech to do a live broadcast, but we did have someone with a camera going around. So we're going to broadcast that. We're going to put a link to the recording of the event online too. You probably will expect to see that Monday or Tuesday.
Wonderful. And then anybody who wants to ping me to meet up, I'm the sucker who bought their $65 book that Tortigalis produced overviewing their projects over the past 3 or 4 decades. They are super impressive, and they've done some really good work throughout this country. So I think we're in good hands, and I think we need to work with them, and we're gonna get a great plan for our future.
They already are. They're heavily engaged.
Awesome.
Very impressive crew.
All right, so I will make the motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you all.
Right.
Thank
Appreciate you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Want to see who hangs out there till the bitter end. Who hangs out there till the bitter end?
Good night, everybody.
Captain Krantz, Terry, I think we're all doing.
Good night.
It's Captain Krantz. I said Sergeant Krantz. I don't want to give you a demotion.
No, you're actually right. I'm Sergeant. It's Captain
All right.
Jacobelli, Gino.
Okay, I do that all the time
keep up
too.
with you. You guys.
I'll leave you with this. Gino, he doesn't care what you call him as long as you call him. That's the
right.
type of guy he is.
Well,
That's all.
as a teacher, I'm always jealous of you guys that you work up your way up the chain properly before retirement, man. You guys do a very good job. We should learn lessons.
We were taught old school mentality, but that we're in 2021 nowadays. My name is Steve. That's all I could say.
Well
But
done,
thank you.
sir. Well
And
done.
Thank you.
Jacob Belli showed me a whole new talent at that meeting. He can run a meeting. I
No,
told him that.
he's-
I said, he can run a meeting. He did a
Listen,
great job at
listen.
that meeting.
Director. Gino is the reason why my daughter can say she was a Hoboken champion. Okay.
Tremendous.
Gino has a knack on several levels. Forget about it.
Best
He's good. He's
girl
really
softball coach out there.
good. Yeah, he's great at it. Great at it.
He really does. He was good. All right. Well, thank you all. Take care, and Dave, whenever.
Yep, sounds good. All right,
Okay.
good night,
Good
everybody.
night.